Can someone who built his entire identity around being the perfect husband ever recover from betraying that very brand? That's the question hanging over Ned Fulmer, the former Try Guy who went from internet sweetheart to scandal villain almost overnight. And now, years later, he's back with a brand new project that has people talking all over again. But this return hasn't been the triumphant redemption arc he might have imagined. In fact, it's only stirred up more drama, more backlash, and more disbelief from fans who swore they'd already moved on. Ned's name was once synonymous with one thing: being a wife guy. He built a whole career out of constantly praising his wife, Ariel, turning their marriage into content and a brand that millions of fans adored. He wasn't just a YouTuber, he was the internet's poster child for wholesome commitment. But in 2022, the image came crashing down when blurry photos surfaced of him allegedly making out with his employee, Alex, at a bar in New York. What might have been written off as gossip quickly spiraled because fans spotted them together more than once. The story wasn't just about infidelity, it was about hypocrisy, betrayal, and power dynamics in the workplace. Ned wasn't just Alex's co-worker, he was her boss. Suddenly, what people once thought was a fairy tale became a full-blown HR nightmare that exploded across the internet. The fallout wasn't just private, it became one of the most viral scandals YouTube had ever seen. Fans turned into detectives, combing through new Try Guys videos, pointing out where Ned seemed to be edited out. Frames cut too early, group shots that suddenly felt incomplete, moments that looked suspicious. The speculation was relentless. Was the group covering for him? Were they hiding something? The silence only fueled the drama until finally the Try Guys dropped what felt like a breakup video. They sat down, looked into the camera, and confirmed everything. Ned had been in a consensual workplace relationship, the dynamics were unacceptable, and he was out. Fired. The video instantly went viral, solidifying the scandal as more than internet gossip. It was a cultural moment. It even made it to Saturday Night Live, where they spoofed the entire thing, cementing Ned as a punchline. Within days, his career as a Try Guy was over, his reputation in tatters. He released a short, stiff apology, saying he betrayed Ariel, his co-workers, and the fans. Then he disappeared. No videos, no posts, no appearances, just silence. But the internet never really forgets. Every now and then, paparazzi shots surfaced of Ned and Ariel together, wedding ring still on, walking quickly past cameras with their heads down. It was enough to keep people speculating. Was Ariel standing by him? Had she forgiven him? Or was this just damage control? For 3 years, nobody really knew. Then, out of nowhere, Ned announced his comeback. On September 16th, the exact same date he was officially fired in 2022, he reappeared online with the news of a brand new podcast. The timing raised eyebrows immediately. Coincidence? Or was he trying to reclaim the date that marked his downfall? Either way, fans noticed, and they weren't impressed. The backlash was instant. If the timing wasn't bold enough, the guest lineup made jaws drop. For his very first episode, Ned announced that Ariel would be sitting beside him, the same wife whose name and face were tied to the scandal. The same wife who had been humiliated in front of the entire world. And now, she was the first person he wanted to talk to on his so-called comeback show. The internet lost it. Comment sections flooded with clown emojis. People accused Ariel of being dragged into a PR stunt. Others asked why she would even agree to sit down after everything that happened. But then came the real twist. Just hours after the podcast teaser dropped, People magazine published an exclusive update. Ned and Ariel weren't even together anymore. According to the report, the two had quietly separated 3 years after the scandal broke. They were co-parenting their kids, but romantically, it was over. Fans were stunned. How could Ariel be sitting in his debut episode, acting as though she was still part of his story, while headlines were already reporting their separation? The rollout was messy, confusing, and left the internet asking if the whole thing was carefully staged. It only got worse when TMZ published photos of Ned with another woman. The pictures were fresh, taken just as he was promoting his podcast with Ariel. Suddenly, the separation news looked less like a revelation and more like damage control. Because if Ariel hadn't been written out of the narrative, those photos would have sent the internet into a frenzy, mocking her all over again. Fans weren't buying it. The timing felt calculated. Reactions were brutal. One person wrote, "I totally forgot to unfollow. Thanks for the reminder." Another joked that Ned's comeback announcement felt like a jump scare. Others pointed out the irony that while Ned was clawing for relevance, the other three Try Guys were thriving, building their brand even stronger without him. The general consensus? Nobody was asking for his return. Still, Ned pressed on. He gave People magazine an interview where he admitted the scandal shattered his carefully built image as a husband. He said he was ready to share his story and focus on his new podcast, Rock Bottom, where he talked to people about their lowest points and how they bounced back. But when it came to his own lowest point, he didn't spill much tea. He barely addressed the affair, repeating instead that he wanted to be more mindful about what he shares online. Fans called it watered down, another attempt at rebranding without actually owning up to what happened. Ariel's involvement made the whole situation even more complicated. Some viewers sympathized with her, believing she was trapped in a narrative she didn't choose. Others dragged her for appearing in what they saw as Ned's desperate attempt to stay relevant. Viral comments accused her of having no backbone, while others urged her to finally walk away. The irony was too much for many to handle. After being humiliated on a global stage, she was now sitting in the debut of his redemption tour. And then, just as people started tearing her apart online, the separation news dropped. It left everyone wondering, was this podcast about healing or just another spin job designed to soften Ned's image? The more fans dug into the timeline, the messier it looked. A family trip to Greece? Now reframed as co-parenting, not romance. Ariel sitting stiffly in the teaser? Suddenly explained by separation. Ned spotted with a new woman? Now backed up by the announcement. Every piece of the rollout looked reactive, not authentic. Meanwhile, the internet verdict was clear. Comments slammed him as desperate. Memes roasted the podcast title, Rock Bottom, with people saying he hadn't even reached it yet. Some admitted they might tune into the first episode out of morbid curiosity, but few believed this would turn into a lasting comeback. Because here's the thing, when your brand is being the ultimate wife guy, and you blow that up yourself, it's almost impossible to rebuild. You didn't just lose trust, you burned the very foundation of your fame. The Try Guys brand survived and even thrived because they acted decisively, cutting ties and protecting their audience's trust. Fans respected them for it. In contrast, Ned is left trying to convince people to care about his new narrative, and so far, the internet response has been merciless. Some call it embarrassing, others say it feels calculated, and many believe it's doomed before it even starts. So now the question is simple. Can Ned Fulmer actually reinvent himself as the survivor of Rock Bottom? Or will he remain a cautionary tale of how fast an online empire can collapse? Can the internet ever forgive a fallen wife guy? Or is that brand forever cursed once it breaks? What do you think? Will his podcast be a genuine second chance, or just one more reminder of the scandal that ended his career in the first place? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and share, and I'll see you in the next one.